very, very exciting for us. It's the first time that we've done this. We are going to record it. So if you guys obviously want to forward this to any coworkers or any other teams, please feel free to do so. But we're so excited, and we're so elated to have one of our partners join us, and then hopefully some future partners. Like I said, this is going to be the first of 3 summer sessions that we have. This first one is going to be focused on mass texting, and then we're going to do another one for one-to-one texting and text to buy. So a lot of really, really great content coming up, coming your way. And I think the main goal of this too is for our partners to meet each other and just really use this as a brainstorming session, collaborate, see what other partners, in your sport or in your kind of realm, your world, are doing, and ultimately bounce ideas off each other and make connections. We consider VOZZI a family. Obviously, all of you guys are a part of that. So the more that we can just interact and get to know one another, it's all that more exciting. So thank you again for joining. Really, really excited, and excited to introduce our panelists. I will introduce myself first, and then I'll pass over the torch for them to introduce themselves. And again, we have a lot of really exciting stuff coming your way. But first, my name is Austin. For those of you that do not know me, I am the SVP of Partnerships here with VOZZI, and I've been with the company for a little over 3 years now. And I'm excited to introduce our friends from the Columbia Fireflies, University of Texas, University of Miami, and Norfolk Admirals, and the University of Belmont. So Shannon and Tracy, I don't know if you guys want to start, introduce yourselves, let everybody know what you guys do with the University of Texas and how long you've been a partner of VOZZI.
Yeah, so I'm Tracy Barrera. I am the Associate Director of Ticket Sales and Service. I oversee the account executives on the sales and service team. And we've been with VOZZI a little over 2 years.
I am Shanna Wentzler. I am in ticket operations. I handle everything that it goes on our website, anything e-commerce, all of our partners, I work with them.
Perfect. Taylor, why don't you go next?
Hi, Taylor Lynn, University of Miami Athletics, and part of Legends through our partnership with the University of Miami. So I work for Legends and specifically with the Miami property. I Director of Revenue Generation, Marketing, and Analytics. I oversee all of our marketing, CRM, anything that's technology and makes money. That's my job.
Ashley, do you want to go next?
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. I'm Ashley DiCarlo, Director of Marketing for the Columbia Fireflies. We are a minor league single A affiliate of the Kansas City Royals in South Carolina. I'm the Director of Marketing here, so I oversee anything and everything related to marketing. But as it relates to this call, I handle all of our advertising, all of our email marketing, and all of our text message marketing. And we've been with VOZZI. This is our 3rd season now.
Amazing. And last but certainly not least, Casey and Becca.
Yeah, how's everybody doing? My name is Casey Christensen. I'm the VP of Sales for the Norfolk Admirals. We're in the East Coast Hockey League. We're the essentially the AA affiliate of the Winnipeg Jets, and I kind of oversee all of our ticket and corporate sponsorship sales, and also kind of the connection between marketing and those sales efforts.
Yeah, and I'm Becca. I'm the Director of Marketing for the Norfolk Admirals. So Casey and I kind of just as a team do the VOZZI together.
Amazing. All right. Well, as we know, mass texting is like the wild, wild west. There's so much that goes into it, and it offers so much creativity for you guys and flexibility to communicate with your fans. So I think around the horn, and Taylor, we can start with you. How does texting, mass texting specifically, fit into your sales and fan communication?
Yeah, for us, it's become like a pretty integral part of everything we're doing. Like we are, especially with bigger events, always looking at it. But when I say events, I mean like sales on sales and events as it relates to sales. We're always looking at it from not only we've always looked at it, I think, from email marketing and app and push notifications, and we've added VOZZI here in the last year because we thought SMS was an area we were missing, and we've seen really good success thus far with driving sales through VOZZI, with making sure that SMS is included in that journey.
Ashley, do you want to contribute to that as well?
Sure. Yeah, we use it a lot as a supplement to a lot of other things that we do. We use it for a variety of different messages, whether it is sales messages or event launches, similar to Taylor. We also use it as game update communication. So if there's rainouts or postponements or things like that, it's a huge supplement to our email marketing. We like to think of it as like the more instantaneous communication, or like a last minute way to communicate with things. So we have special last minute flash sales or things like that. But we also use it as a daily communication for those that have opted in for more of those like marketing kind of event update type messages. So we use it in two capacities. One is kind of sales platform, and then one too is just a huge communication platform for our season ticket members and any fans that want just kind of general marketing messages.
Yes, super helpful. Shannon and Tracy.
Yeah, so in addition to kind of everything everybody else mentioned on the sales front, we use it a lot for our renewals, renewing, just providing them that direct link to Paciolan to get that taken care of. We use it in a fun way, I think. Texting is a really fun way to communicate just different things. We recently announced our SEC celebration as we move over to that conference, and we announced Pitbull that was coming. So just we use it as a tool that just communicates fun information with our fans that we can really connect with.
Yeah, a lot of MMS. We all love MMS, driving the images. And Casey and Becca, it's kind of a good question for you, kind of bouncing off what the other three have said. Have you found that mass texting has changed your efforts communicating to fans? Like, have you done more texting than email, or are you using them both equally?
Yeah, I think that overall, I would say generally over the last 12 to 18 months, mass text has become pretty much a cornerstone of our overall marketing plan and how we communicate with our existing customers and also generate new revenue. So I would say that we definitely prefer text over email now, 100%. And a lot of the times it's out of necessity because Becca and I are really the only show in town when it comes to pushing these things out. And quite frankly, I feel a lot more confident that my text is going to get through to more buyers than where email is going to end up these days.
Yeah, absolutely. That 98% open rate makes a big difference. And kind of going on with that, I know, Ashley, you do a lot of targets to students. Shannon and Tracy, I know you guys have done the same. Have you found yourself trying to target specific like segments or groups in your database? Or is it just like, hey, let's blast this out and see who responds?
Yeah, we do both. So just this past season, we were able to connect VOZZI with Stellar Algo, which is what we use 99% of our time here, kind of as a CRM platform, as a giant data analytic platform, ticket sales, all that. So this season, we now have the capability, we highly segment. Previous to us being connected with a Stellar Algo, we did kind of mass general. That was just what we did. We had that email or that marketing opt-in. So we kind of mass emailed, texted those folks. But now with Stellar Algo, I mean, in general with our marketing, we think targeting is really good, especially for text messages. But I mean, it started with email, but if I'm sending you a message that doesn't relate to you, right? So if we're promoting our dog days, but you don't have a dog, you only have a cat, the negative response to that of like, oh, this doesn't apply to me is not what we want, because ultimately that means they're probably going to stop reading our text or stop reading our emails. So we now, both in email and text messaging, are highly targeted. For text messaging, I will say we even segment that even down further to, we target last minute buyers. Our market is a very last minute buying market. The vast majority of tickets are purchased with the week of or 3 days in advance. So our text messages are even targeted more towards people who are going to buy that week of, because we send those probably a day or two before the game or kind of before the weekend. We'll send it out on a Thursday. We don't do a lot of campaigns weeks in advance, months in advance. So we highly target those down to buyers that purchase within that kind of that 1 week time span. And then we send it to whatever they may have interest in, whether they usually come with their kids, they come to kids theme nights, or they come to fireworks nights, or they usually come to giveaways, or they bring their dog. our stuff is highly targeted and highly segmented.
That makes a big difference. If anybody else wants to chime in on that and doing any segmentation or just like really direct targets of, hey, I know when I send out this text, it's going to perform.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
what Ashley was saying about segmenting and Stellar Algo, we also use Stellar Algo, and it's pretty it's very useful because we can really dig into the weeds on like what time people are buying their tickets, and we'll go as far as at our level, like we're trying to get every last ticket in the building that we can on every single game day. So we're even sending out last minute flash sales the morning of the game, and seeing great success with that. So if we can really dial in on the buyers that we know are going to purchase day of and just serve them up an offer directly to their phone. So now we're not even having them go looking for the tickets. We've seen some really good success there.
Good, Shanna. You were going to say something.
Yeah, so here at Texas, we have a massive database. We, at the beginning, learned our lesson and not to blast everybody. We got a little excited there, but now we segment out. We learn the importance of segmenting, and just especially with like our season ticket holders and our students, and just making sure that we're not blasting everybody so that they opt out and miss the important news. So segmenting has been really vital.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's actually a great segue to the next question with the segmentation and the direct hits. Do you guys find, because in our world, whether it's a pro team, minor league team, or even collegiate athletics, it's so fast paced, right? Like things can change on a dime, whether it's delays or cancellations or something really exciting just happened or renewals. Do you find yourself planning? Taylor, we can go to you first. Planning out your text, or is it on the fly? Hey, let's just try to get one last push for renewals this morning.
Yeah, I think for us, like what we send texts out on probably falls into 3 buckets. The first one really being like the one I kind of hit on before, like really important messages. I think like ones that we know people will resonate with people, as well as kind of other messages that might not be sales driven. The reason for both of those is really to show the value of being opted into SMS. I mean, the on sale ones definitely help with revenue as well. But then that allows us to sneak in revenue messaging as well to be able to say, okay, well, I'll put up with an on sale text here and there, or a promote like a last minute ticket text here and there if I know I'm also going to get important information. So that's how we look at it. And then I think the third way is really looking at SMS as a tool that's probably a little bit more downstream in our sales funnel from where email marketing is. So we're really looking at it in those instances to use it more for re-engagement. So like if someone, say we have a broad group that has clicked on a basketball email and looked at seats but didn't convert, it's one of the tools we can use to re-engage them, especially last minute.
Yeah, that's great. If anybody else has, I know Tracy and Shannon, you guys did a lot of planning, so much so it was like through the whole entire year we planned ahead.
Yes, we actually went from the Wild Wild West to planning out our text. So a lot of our sales texts and everything, like our renewals, definitely planned out. We had our deadlines. We knew when we need to follow up. And then we always might have a few people worried that our percentage is down. But then sales texts were in between, depending on inventory. So that was more last minute, unless it was like the first on sale. So other than that, we realized that mostly students were great for engagement. Like you were talking about, Taylor, our engagement with students is our key. Like we need students to show up to a basketball game. We're texting the day of, and so that was everyone who's got a student ticket, just let them know what's going on, what you can get for free, where to be pretty much. And so those are always last minute, but then also planned for they know when football game day is and everything like that. So it's a mix of in between. You just got to be flexible, but plan as much as possible.
Absolutely. And
Yeah, I
Ashley,
think
for you, Rebecca.
sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I think that's kind of how we try to do it as well, is we want to have a good mix. If we are looking ahead and we know that we have a specialty game or a theme night, we'll plan out our VOZZI texts. But if we are just kind of trying to do like flash sale and get last minute interest, like we will just put one out on the fly.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I was gonna say, after with you in season right now, are you finding yourself kind of doing the same, just reacting to the fans and what's needed at the given time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strong combination of both in season and off season for us. We have some, for example, some campaigns that we plan out. Like we just launched an undated ticket voucher, and so like throughout the rest of this month, we know when those texts are going to go out. So we're not overwhelming the market. We usually do off weeks versus game weeks because we know on game weeks we could be firing out a couple of different texts here and there. But very similar to what they all said. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of kind of day of stuff like, hey, we really need a ticket push today. Not as many Thursday tickets as we want out. Let's throw a flash sale out there or a BOGO or something like that. So it's a strong combination of the two. Planning out things for bigger theme nights, like Becca said, or other season ticket renewals, things like that. Those are really planned out, but kind of those game day offers, what's going on this week, like for example, this week, Saturday, we're almost nearly sold out. So there's not really a need to send out maybe a Saturday push, but hey, tomorrow night's struggling a little bit because everyone's already bought a Saturday ticket. So what can we do tomorrow? So like everyone said, a strong combination of both planning and kind of being prepared to be flexible day of, week of.
Yeah, absolutely. And Casey, actually, and Becca, for you guys, it's a lot different than, Tracy, Shanna, and Taylor, where your off season really is your off season. Like there's not really anything going on where they have other sports to fall back on. So how do you maintain that communication even in the off season to keep your fans engaged with what's going on or what's coming up?
That's a great question. We kind of take two approaches. One, obviously the main one being that, we try to send something at least once a month to our like true, real, like strong fan base that we know is going to come back. We're not really engaging too much like new business in those months. However, we have found ways to kind of work with our corporate partners and utilize some of our techs to help them out. So we could say, hey, Jersey Mike's is running an Admirals $5 off coupon as part of the partnership, and we're going to have 2 players at the Jersey Mike's location here. Come check them out. And it's a great way for us to drive some off-season sales for our partners, which really, it just creates a great kind of two-way communication. We're actively executing and fulfilling on a partnership in the off-season, which really helps build their confidence for what we're going to do in season.
Yeah, we're super similar. We are kind of fortunate in the sense of, so we operate as a 365-day venue. So we have a massive thing now, Fireflies Holiday Lights. So we're open for 42 straight nights of walkable holiday lights. We have concerts, we have college baseball games. So our off season is pretty jam-packed with events. So we do have that luxury of not necessarily losing touch. But at the same time, we want to make sure Fireflies baseball doesn't get lost in all of that. So very similar, like Casey said, we try once a month at least to push something out Fireflies related, whether that's something as simple as our kids club members can come to breakfast with Santa, or hey, our promotional calendar out, or our tickets are on sale, or season tickets are now on sale. It's just kind of find ways to communicate with them that makes sense in the off season. We've done jersey auctions as Christmas gifts, or do you want to buy a mini plan as a Christmas gift? Kind of trying to play into what's going on, but not losing touch of that baseball is coming up.
Absolutely. And for the colleges, how do you maintain, like going back to the segmentation, being able to communicate to all your sports that you have going on at the same exact time? That probably requires a lot of planning, I would imagine.
Yeah, I know for us, and it might be similar for Texas as well, just being at a larger school, like we are primarily focused on football, like 80 to 90% of the time, a little bit here and there for men's and women's basketball, a little bit for us for baseball, not a ton. So even though we do have 18 varsity teams, we only ticket 4 of them, and we're really only focused heavily on 1 to 2 to 2.5 of them. But I think that like going into that, we still do have even our off season is busy in the sense that like, even though it's summer and probably most of the athletic department is really kind of a little bit laid back, for us, it's a heavy selling season. So I think with that, we look a lot at how we can use SMS and the high engagement rate and high open rates to leverage or to improve our overall digital marketing strategy. So like, for example, one thing we're working on right now is being able to do a survey to our non-renewed football season ticket holders. Renewal deadline was way back in January, but we're still trying to get as many of those folks back for this season as possible. So we've sent a survey out over email, gotten some response. We're trying to do it over SMS because we'll see a lot higher response. And if those people just kind of raise their hand and say, hey, yeah, I'm not coming back no matter what, it gives our client experience team the ability to really focus in on the few hundred people that really we might have a chance on converting before September.
Yeah, Texas, I feel like our content calendar that we've created is such a key component for us. I mean, really basic. We use Excel, map it out month by month, but we really sit down and can analyze like each semester, fall and spring. And by laying it out, it just lets us see what all the sports we have going on, what we can plug in, who we can put a touch point with. For example, women's basketball, their renewals aren't until July. We'll be sending them a text here just within the next week, I think, just a quick touch point like, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. Heads up, this is coming soon. So I think just laying it all out gives us the ability to just see, to make sure we have all the sports included.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going off of that too, with all the sports, a question that we get all the time at VOZZI is, well, who should be involved in texting? Obviously, you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, but quickly kind of around the horn, like who in your staff, in your departments, who has their hands in VOZZI and who are like, stay away?
I mean, for us, the people who actually have their hands in the platform on the mass side is just the digital marketing team. So there's basically, I guess, 5 of us total doing digital marketing. So those are the ones that actually have that mass texting access. And then all of our sales reps are set up with the one-to-one technology, as well as our sales leadership too. But as far as who's involved in actually sending out a text, it's really a group effort because we are getting everything reviewed and circulated by various stakeholders. So when we send out something that's sales or service related, we're running it by our sales team. We're letting our sales and service team know when it goes out, because especially with text and it being so highly read, it's something that's likely to trigger a lot of calls into our inbound line. So we're looking at it from a ticket ops perspective when it comes to segmentation to make sure there's nothing we're forgetting. So I think it really is a group effort all around to make sure that the text goes to the right people at the right time when we're prepared to handle it.
Yeah, Taylor, as a sales and service person, that is much appreciated, that communication, because you're right, it does trigger those phone calls. And so, yeah, just right here, you know, Shannon with operations, me with sales and service, we're able to really, I feel like the partnership is good because we can map out when things are happening, but we loop in marketing as well. We loop in our associate AD over marketing and just his team. But to Austin's point, you know, you can kind of get up to the borderline of having too many cooks in the kitchen. So just utilizing those key stakeholders, those department leads in each one, and along with our fundraising team, Longhorn Foundation.
Casey, I know you mentioned sponsorship, and we've had more and more partners get their sponsor team involved and try to sell, you know, like activation, if you will. So can you talk a little bit through that, how your team's gotten involved there?
Absolutely. So I think all in all, like our workflow, it's pretty straightforward in the sense that like the sales leadership is sort of coming up with what we need to execute on, and then we sort of use VOZZI as a tool in that equation. And that's not just in ticket sales, that could be sponsorship sales as well. If we're trying to drive additional revenue through, you know, non-hard, you know, digital assets, we can do that. And so a lot of times with the corporate side, it's pretty much me explaining to our sales reps and our sellers what VOZZI is and how it can be used. And then they go out and sell it as an asset. They come back with, you know, a signed, you know, agreement, and then it's just up to, you know, our marketing team and myself to kind of execute on it. So we try to not put as much onus on our sales team to really have a whole lot to do with VOZZI, other than just understanding from a corporate standpoint that they can sell it as an asset. And then obviously we have all of them hooked up with the one-to-one technology, which is a whole nother kind of can of worms. But yeah, all in all, I think it's important to kind of keep them focused on selling and not too worried about what the particulars are, and kind of just let us handle it.
Miami, we haven't really gone too much into the the sponsorship space yet, but I know it's something just overall for anyone who's on the call in college athletics, something that's going to become really important here in the next couple of years as revenue sharing comes into play within college athletics. There's a need more than ever for revenue to be generated through the athletic department. And I know, talking to our sponsorship people that are on site with us here, as well as part of Legends, we're running out of assets quickly. Like, there's some new ones that are hopefully coming to play soon. Jersey patches hopefully will be good to go this year. On-field logos, those are some of the big ones. But to generate that revenue, you're going to need to check a lot of smaller boxes too, and need to have also just ways to reach people. And I think for both of those, SMS can be a really good tool of an asset that's available that you could sell to generate more revenue.
Absolutely. I know Kelly Barnes on this call. Kelly really has paved the way with the Flyers are doing with their student rush program. So I'll make sure we get her maybe in session 2 or 3 to talk through that. It's funny, we're talking about obviously texting and hitting a lot of your fans, your students, anyone who's bought a swim game ticket. You can't really text anybody without a database, right? So what have you guys found to be big success drivers of getting those opt-ins, getting those people engaged, and then ultimately holding on to them, making sure they're not opting out after you send, 1, 2, 3 texts? Whoever wants to start.
I think really the biggest thing that helped us build our database is just being more intentional about data collection. It's something that we kind of overlooked for a while, and quite frankly, now I kind of joke about it, but I'll take a phone number, a name, and an email address at any time of the day. So whether that's QR codes on a lot of stuff and getting people kind of to opt in through the process of doing something else, or just simply adding opt-in options through whatever we're doing, whether that's on FormStack, FIVO, running any sort of email campaign, we let them opt in, and we just take those numbers, those lists over to VOZZI. And I'd rather have more numbers than not enough at the end of the day. So we're just really intentional about data collection. There's not one particular thing we do, but if we're putting something out there, there probably is a data collection part to it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. There was a learning process from top to bottom of so myself and our director of ticket ops are kind of the two in it. And we had to not only teach kind of his staff, but the game day staff about the window of, yes, it feels like an extra step to ask for an email, to ask for a cell phone number, but that is extremely important, that 5 seconds it takes to do that. We also now have TDC, which is a system that requires that stuff. So a big thing for us was if you make a group sale, right, you usually have the group leader's contact information, but now we make it a point to get everyone who's purchased a ticket with that group. We have their email, we have their text, so we can communicate with everyone and not just through the group leader. So definitely opt-ins everywhere, super intentional about it. I will say one thing we have some free kind of cheap hats. And so our student rush program we just launched last year. And when we go to campus, we just have, hey, if you sign up for this free text message platform, no cost, nothing to you, here's a hat. So just a little incentive. And that has, in the last 2 weeks, we've added almost 1,500 kids to our student rush just because they get a free hat. So that's huge. We run it in-game all of the time, in-game PAs, pre-game PAs. One thing that worked really well for us, that was suggested us from VOZZI actually, was that lucky card scratcher. So the very first time we launched this, we ran that for about 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 homestands. And it was just every once in a while, I think we did 5 people a game could win a $10 Fireflies gift card. They just opted in, they got a little scratch card that VOZZI creates, and they just scratch it off, and okay, if you win, great. And we got that was a great initial start for us. Just trying to get it out there initially. People will do anything for $10 that they can use in the team store, I guess. So that worked really well for us to start off.
It's all about the merch. People love the merch. Yeah, and I encourage everyone on this call that is a VOZZI partner to kind of reevaluate the other features that we have, the math with the scratch cards and the QR codes and the journey flows that we have. Really fun ways for you to interact with your fans and then ultimately have them opt in. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that, but go for it.
Yeah, we started doing the scratch cards on every game day program for all of our teams. And it was just come to the ticket table if you win kind of thing. And it could be just, we didn't tell them that they won a lot of the time, just come. Sometimes it's free tickets to the next game, some cheap merchandise or whatever kind of thing. So helped with data collecting, again, just for anyone that's at either at the games or just any community event, but then also just encourages that kind of engagement with our sales team to have those conversations with people on the spot too. So it took us a little while to kind of figure out the best way to do it, but yeah, just in every program we started included it on there, and it's just kind of a fun thing for fans to do as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Luke. Thank you for contributing. Kind of going off of that, I think it's important to stay fresh, right? Like every year brings new challenges. Your teams could be doing really, really well, or maybe some years your teams aren't doing so well. For the universities going into the next season here in 2 months, is there anything that you're trying to scale or change and maybe approach things differently when you're communicating for football or basketball and going into the new season?
I think for us, we take what we've done before in the past and kind of like grow from it. We see what's good, we see what's bad. Like our women's basketball audience does not react well to texting, but you get our volleyball audience, and that click rate is astronomical. The sales from the data that we pull from that is wonderful. So what we do, because it's two of us, we know what's appropriate to text and what audience isn't. So we go from there. So football, it's going to be all hands on deck. That's mass communication. Some of it's last minute. I think we're element of surprise. So I think that once we figure out our audiences and we know the best way to communicate, it's good. Softball, slowly growing that one. We're thriving on the field, so it helps us off the field. So we're learning what's best for us and going from there. And so it's slowly realizing what gets them outside of an email. The email, like I turn my notifications off on my email now as a boundary in life, but like I would think other people do too. So don't send me an email, send me a text. I'll look at it because I'm afraid of the notification on my phone. But you got my attention. I might act on it. I may not, but you never know.
Yeah, and boundaries are great. Everyone needs boundaries.
Thank you, guys.
How about you, Taylor?
Yeah, I don't know how to follow that up. Yeah, for us, I mean, I think we're kind of doing the same things that Texas is doing and trying to like learn and grow from what we did in the years past. I know for us, there's some other, I'd say, challenges we face each year. I think one of them is probably some of the inconsistencies we have with the stadium, since we don't actually own or control our own stadium. You know, it's through Hard Rock Stadium, which is a NFL home venue for the Miami Dolphins, and also hosts every other event you can think of, from Taylor Swift concerts to the World Cup here in a few years, the College Football National Championship. So we're sharing the stadium with them. F1 race, so we have an F1 track that runs through our parking lot. So there's definitely a lot there. So I think SMS also in that sense can be a really valuable tool, especially when we have those last minute communications, but stuff that's changing and stuff that's important to get in front of people. It's a way that we can make sure that happens. Like this past year, we've made some more adjustments to our parking policies. Those weren't necessarily tied to Hard Rock, but the adjustments we made, we wanted to make sure they were communicated. So that had been a pain point for our fans in the past. So we had sent everyone an email, but then also a text. And the nice thing is with emails versus text is the text you are almost positive they read because of how high the open rate is. So it reduced the number that our service team had to contact. Our service team really just went after the people that are unsubscribed from emails, unsubscribed from text, where we don't have their phone number. So text has been a really good way to identify kind of some of those gaps in communication.
Absolutely. And Casey and Becca and Ashley, for you, have you ever found yourself in the early, front half of the season, middle or end, where like, hey, I need to change this. My fans aren't reacting well to this. I need to pivot and go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I can jump in first. I mean, it's constant adjustments. Just for example, on Memorial Day weekend, we want to do a Memorial Day flash sale. We talked through like what's going to work, what's not going to work. Let's try. So we decided to test it out. I mean, we're constantly even A/B testing different messages of splitting the group in half and what does this messaging text work better than this messaging text. But for example, on like that Friday Memorial Day, we said this kind of wordy text that had a picture and said like, hey, this Memorial Day, you can do this, this, and this and get an extra ticket. And then Monday, we just literally sent a text, no picture. It was in that 50, 75 character limit of like a reminder, use this code today. Today's the last day to use your Memorial Day code when buying. And that got so much more response than the long wordy one that actually explained what the code did. It was like oh, I have an offer code. I don't know what it does. Let me click. So like even just in that, like last week, we learned a quick adjustment of, okay, maybe those quick one hitters that don't say much, but it's like, here's a code, go buy. Maybe more valuable and work better than something that's really long and wordy that maybe someone doesn't want to read. So it's constantly making adjustments day to day, week to week, theme night by theme night, event by event. It's literally a game of adjustments.
Yeah, we see that all the time. Short, sweet, to the point. Casey, probably same for you. Rebecca?
Yeah, I think just save $5 with like 3 or 4 emojis, and then Norfolk Admirals hockey. I'm not kidding you. Like 20 words, a couple emojis, send it out. We were sending graphics and all these awesome copy written, like super nice text. I found that those are great when you're trying to give information, but if you're just trying to get a click and get somebody to buy, let the web page that they're going to buy the tickets on, give them all the information, just get them to click on it. And like, if you can put like some fire emojis or something on there, it works wonders.
We actually made some adjustments on our email marketing back in probably the winter this past year to really cut down on the amount of copy in there and really get to the point a lot quicker, both to alleviate some of the work on our team but the main reason being is people are more likely to read and click on it if it's shorter. The nice thing with text is because of the limitations that, in SMSs, and you're paying for each one and it's right there in front of you, it really forces you to be concise and to the point, and for the better, because as everyone has just pointed out, drives higher engagement and higher conversion rates.
Absolutely. Which is actually, again, another perfect segue. If you haven't already, everybody on this call should follow VOZZI on Instagram and social media. And we've been sharing a lot of really fun use cases that our partners send out. So I know we have some examples that we're going to share, put on the screen right now, but we can start with Texas, kind of walk through some of your best performing tech, the prettiest ones, if you choose. We can kind of go around. Maybe explain to you why it was successful.
Right. So we found students, got to get in their hands, everything like that. And last minute with students works best. If you want to plan 3 days in advance, they don't know what they're doing. So we rolled out this new football student claim process where you had to claim your ticket. So we had like a multi-step approach that they would get an email with all the information. So if you notice, like ours was ready, set, go, claim your ticket, like hopefully hit them, the speed of VOZZI, you never know sometimes, right as it's time to go, they can get in the queue, get their ticket. So we found those click rates to be great, like satisfying. It was a great way to push it. We also add on the back of our checks for our purposes to collect data, like information, so we can see who purchased through the link with the help of PAC and everything like that. So we would be able to see that like over 2,200 kids were getting their ticket from the link that we just texted them, which I know it goes out to 18,000, but like that's a good rate for people reaction to come off your phone. And so we went from there, we built from there. We have a sold out season or student section. So if people don't come, they need to return their tickets. We've got rules with our big ticket that's available for our students. So we set up like weekly reminders. So the tickets would sell out of the first claim. Kids still want to get in. We tell them to come back. So we just hit that touch point of, if you have a ticket, we would segment to those, shoot them a text like, hey, these are the rules. You miss, don't show, you get a strike. So it was more of like, return your ticket, those type of things to keep it fresh on the student mind, set it the morning of the game. So no last minute thing. One of our biggest things we did is we actually had 2 night games last year at home, and we just got into the lights and the drone show. And so one of the biggest pushes was to download our app where you could do the light show with all the lights. And that had over 100% like click rate, everything. It was so interactive. Something simple because it was just like engagement and stuff. So we saw tons of traction. So I know it's not technically getting money, but you're getting their attention to drive them to the next step, which get them there. And then we do these concerts before ours. And so we announce the Big Boy, and those like concert announcement things, we announce them the week of the game. No one really knows. Like we try to fight to get it out of our person. We don't find out until you get the graphic to send the text. And so those texts go out to all our students, and they're like, they click and they reminds them of, just brings them to a student landing page and where they go from there. So it just gets them engaged and gets them ready. So one of our biggest initiatives is to make sure if we save seats for students, we save spots for them. And if they don't show, it affects their environment of all our athletic events. So these are just the pushes that we've done mass text wise that have really, we can see our student attendance grow. We can see it change, like the number of tickets that get returned. So it's interesting to watch the trends of our students and what we do. And then we grow from there. We see what they react to and see what they don't.
And beautiful graphics.
Yes. Peyton, shout out to our girl. She makes you look good.
If anyone ever needs help with graphics, do not hesitate to reach out. Peyton is a rock star. Who's up next, Peyton?
All right, cool. So the offers that we have up here, kind of two different settings for using VOZZI. That's kind of what I was trying to get through on these. So the first one is a playoff game flash sale. So in the ECHL, playoffs are a complete nightmare from a sales standpoint. Sometimes you're finding out less than 24 hours prior to the game that you have a game the next night, depending on how things go. And obviously you plan for possible games, but those single game sales, a lot of people, they won't buy until the game's guaranteed. So in this case, we sent this text out about 8 hours prior to the game to a very targeted list of last minute buyers. It's a little bit wordy, but a lot of people had questions about the playoffs, so we try to give them some information. And I think we probably sold about 500 tickets on that one just in that short time, which is a pretty good chunk for our size of our arena. And then the other one is the Chesapeake City series. So it's kind of a promotion that we do based around the different cities in our region. We rebrand as that team for a weekend. And in this case, we were looking at Chesapeake. So what we did was we really focused on the data that we had from Chesapeake, not just the Ticketmaster buyer data, but I went back 2 to 3 years and took all of the different tabling events we did and all the data we collected from those and put them into a really good list of people from Chesapeake. So we were really able to get in the weeds and target them geographically in this case, and they both worked out excellently for us.
I love that. You have a good point, Casey. How do you guys combat, like take playoffs, for example, if you send out a text like this and you're just getting hit with responses on your mass number, do you read them and then potentially send out like an informative text, or do you have someone man that mass line and actually respond?
Yeah, this is actually an interesting one. I talk to our rep Brooklyn about this all the time. So we've honestly found that, like, if I'm seeing a lot of the same question come in, then yeah, we should probably address it with a second text. But oftentimes people just respond honestly to be kind of nasty and rude, and like they don't like to read that it says reply stop at the bottom. They want to like just come after you. So I found that honestly, if you send a text out on game day, just send it out, proofread it before you send it, make sure everything's good, and then just go ahead and log out of VOZZI. Because if you read those, I mean, we get some outrageous stuff, like really off the hook stuff. So I would say honestly, like, we don't really man that because it just honestly, it's a distraction.
Yeah, people are so kind. It's crazy. Everyone's so sweet. I'm sure Texas gets a lot of the horns down emojis, and we're just charging them for it. Just kidding. That's great. Thank you so much. And don't forget too, we do have an away message functionality. So if you want to put up an away message saying, hey, any questions, call this number or text this line for, any answers. Always a plan B.
Yeah, I think for us, just going off what Casey said, we have our service team connected there so that they're able to handle those inbounds. That's another important piece for us, is making sure that service is ready to handle those, because especially with text compared to email, I mean, our emails also go back to them as well, but I feel like text people are a little bit more likely to respond. So I think that is an important piece to consider, is making sure that there is someone there, especially if someone's having ticket issues on game days, that we're able to, resolve those. As far as the examples I pulled, so one from last week, part of our football game on sale, and then some of the campaigns we've been doing lately around renewals. We've had a good amount of success with those. And the last one's on game day. So starting with football single games, again, this is just kind of what I was saying earlier, SMS being part of our on sale strategy. So this text alone, or text between the on sale and our pre-sales, we did about $50,000 in individual game sales just from SMS. And I think it was between 25 and 30% of all of our attributable revenue to any marketing channel. So it was probably even larger when you consider that the tracking system is far from perfect, especially with Paciolan. But it was really a strong effort from us, and something that we haven't done in the past, and I think just helped us that much more, especially when we're trying to sell as many individual game tickets up front, to really push against people that might buy on the secondary later on. On the renewal side, we've done a couple things. More basic one on the right middle there, which is our football one. We had our highest renewal percentage that we've ever had for football season tickets, and I think everything was a part of that, including SMS. Even this one text, I think, helped us renew about another 100 tickets. It was sent out about, I think, 5 days before the renewal deadline. So that all contributed to, again, where we had our highest renewal percentage, which was really impressive considering we were 7-6 last year and 5-7 the year before. I think really just speaks to how our overall marketing strategy is going, and sales for sure. Last two things we have here, renewals. So again, I think it's kind of cool. The last two really show how we can use media and MMS to, kind of add some life to these texts. So we've done a renewal campaign for men's basketball and women's basketball that's still underway. You renew, you're entered to win a renewal prize. And so this is something that we can really promote and get in front of a lot of people via text. And the last one is really more of a game day operation one. We sent this one last year. We sent about 3 or 4 versions, one for each parking lot that we have. So I guess, or 5 versions, I guess, included the ingress and egress information based on where you could enter and exit. Some of them are like yellow lot here. You can enter and exit multiple different points. Some are more direct, but that was something we did for our fans to hopefully make their game day experience a little bit better, especially with how many different entrance and exit points there are at Hard Rock.
Yeah, so kind of twofold here. I think a big challenge that baseball has, we play a lot of games in a short amount of time. In May, we played 13 games in 13 days, so 13 straight days of baseball. So we're constantly trying to keep it fresh. Another big thing for us, especially at a single A level, is probably the vast majority, 90% of our fans aren't actually baseball fans, and our on-field product is not always the best. So for us, it's all about the promotion. We say that we sell family fun entertainment. I don't sell tickets to a baseball game. I sell tickets to a social event. And when you have that many games in that many days, if I'm getting bored typing the same message over and over again, I don't want people getting bored reading them. So we really try to make them as fun as we can. Again, this is our first season we've been connected with Stellar Algo in VOZZI. So our messages have shifted a little bit. These are all from this season. So we do, prior to being connected, I sent a text almost every single game day. But it was really just an informative, here's what's going on. It was probably a combination of people who already had tickets or maybe didn't have them yet. And again, that is now shifted to knowing we're targeting people who don't yet have tickets. We do send informational texts on Mondays before every homestand for those who do, of just like, here's what you have coming up. Don't forget about it. You have a ticket. But we really, truly just try to make them as fun as we can. Sometimes it's a little bit of Googling. Sometimes it's just like, all right, this is what I got in my brain right now, which is a wild place sometimes. From from the promotions background side. I'm used to kind of doing the fun, zany stuff on the field that everyone knows minor league baseball for. I write all of our in-game PAs, and those are always crazy. Like Bluey, I've been watching Bluey all week because of Bluey night this weekend. So that's where my brain is at when I'm writing these text messages.
I love the text. It looks great.
Yeah, thank you. But again, it's just if I'm getting bored typing them and trying to communicate the same thing about a baseball game 6 days in a row, then the people who are reading them are probably a little boring, or probably think they're boring as well. So I just try to keep them fun, try to go all in on the theme. You can see the Scooby one, Star Wars, 90s night, and again the Taylor Swift one that was not actually a Taylor Swift night. It was not Taylor Swift related at all. So yeah, just trying to keep it fun, keep people entertained. Kind of the bread and butter of what we do here in general.
Amazing. I love it so much. I see that people are been dropping off a little bit. I want to make sure we have time for questions. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to speak or put it in the chat. If not, I've got one last hitting question. Okay, looks like no one has any questions. So to lead everybody, you could give like a quick hitting, like biggest piece of advice for someone who is, starting off in SMS world. What would be your biggest kind of takeaway of what you learned? So they don't have to learn that same mistake. Or positive, up to you how you want to frame it.
I'll go.
I think
Nope, you go.
for us, I think it was kind of what I hit on earlier. It was really making sure we're reading those responses and addressing those things in real time. We were kind of originally not even looking at those, and I think that was something we had to figure out, and also just make sure that from our fans' perspective, the way they're seeing it is that this is all one entity, so we need to operate. They're not like, oh, well, that's the marketing team versus the service team, so it kind of needs to all function that way, and I think that's one lesson we've taken away from it.
I was just going to say, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Texting's been around with a lot of different programs, whether it's a minor league baseball team or a college university. You can find something that they've done that you've done that you could replicate, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale. So no need to feel like you've got to come out and put out new things. And also the biggest thing is use your data. Find who responds, find those behaviors of your customers that you can pull from sales or just who opts in and stuff. You can get that data and use that to promote what you need to, whether it's sales, engagement. That will help you from just get you on the right path.
I would also add to that, just utilize texting as a way to offer exclusive content, whether it's like a fun graphic or a phone wallpaper. We use it a lot for YouTube videos that we embed in our landing pages. So direct messages from the coach, whether it's Coach Sark having a message to the students to come out for tomorrow's game, or Coach Schaefer for women's basketball, reminding people to use their the transfer option if they can't make it, if it's a weekday game or if the game's too late. So I think utilizing texting to just have those exclusive opportunities is also fun, and it keeps people opted in.
I think the biggest thing for us is like when you first get started, the first 6 months, really try to dig into how your texts perform and try to kind of experiment and see what works. I think we kind of came in with an idea of what was going to work, and we were surprised by some of the stuff we found out after we sent a bunch of different texts for a bunch of different things. So just be willing to pivot and, just try to approach it as, you know how to send the text, you know what it should look like, and then what stuff is really going to hit good in your market.
Yeah, I would pretty much echo everything everyone's already said. Data is huge. I would say use it as a quick hitter. That was one thing we learned after a year or so. It's quick hits, it's flash sales, it's day of, it's definitely the data with the right target. I'd say don't be afraid to try it. Don't be scared of it. Don't try away. We all text every single day, probably all day, every single day. So to some extent, I look at it as if it's me just texting our fans. Don't be afraid of it. I will say adjustments are huge. Check how they're working out. Kind of pay attention to that in a real time. If you send a text, if you don't check it, you check it month by month, you're not going to be able to adjust kind of on a day-to-day basis. But don't be afraid to make mistakes. I know once sent the text a day early. I scheduled it accidentally a day early, and I literally fired off a quick text, said, "Oh, pretend you guys didn't see that. You'll get the same text tomorrow." And the response of just getting that like colloquial kind of like, "Our bad, guys," people absolutely loved it. So don't be afraid to try it. Don't be afraid to test things out. Use it for quick hits, and definitely pay attention to that data and those adjustments.
That's so funny. There's a human behind this screen, I promise.
Kind of treat our social media that way. Like your social media is kind of fun and quirky and very sociable. So I just try to treat our text the same way of, yep, there's a person texting you. This isn't a computer. So why not act like a person?
Yeah. Send a selfie. Whoops, sorry. Becca, anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, sure. I think kind of just echoing on what everyone said, I would say don't be afraid to try something. If you have an idea, I would just go ahead and try it, because it's probably going to do more than if you didn't send a text out at all. So we've definitely, I know over the course of our season, have like sent out different texts and tried different things to kind of see what sticks. So that'd be my biggest advice, is like, since you have VOZZI, use it, and kind of don't be afraid to try everything and see what works.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Well, session complete, summer school in the books. Thank you guys so much. Round of applause for our incredible panelists. We appreciate you guys being such incredible partners. We appreciate everybody being on this call, also being incredible partners. If you're not a partner, we hope that you are one soon. Any questions for myself or the panelists, just reach out to your PSM and we'll get you in touch with them. And looking forward to all the fun texts, mass texts to come. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.